The moment Caitlin Clark walked back into Indiana Fever Camp, everything changed, but no one expected it to get this intense. Cameras weren't even fully rolling yet, but at WNBA insiders were already whispering that something felt different. Energy was higher, voices louder. And when she reunited with teammates like Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, the atmosphere instantly shifted. What was supposed to be a routine practice suddenly turned into something much bigger. Competitive, emotional, personal. But what happened next shocked everyone, 'cause this wasn't just about getting ready for the season. It felt like a statement, a warning, a glimpse into what's really happening inside Fever Camp. And trust me, no one saw this coming. Because what unfolded next could change everything. The doors to the practice facility opened quietly, but the impact of Caitlin Clark's return was anything but quiet. The moment she stepped onto the court, every head turned. Not dramatically, not all at once, but subtly, in a way that told you everything you needed to know. This wasn't just another practice. This was a moment inside the Indiana Fever facility. The energy felt different from the start. Players were already warming up, going through routines, but there was a noticeable shift the second Caitlin joined in. Passes got sharper, movements became quicker, communication louder, and then came the reunions. First, Lexie Hull, a quick handshake, turned into a smile. Not overly emotional, not dramatic, but meaningful. Because both players knew what they had been through already. The adjustments, the pressure, the constant spotlight. Then, Sophie Cunningham stepped in. Different energy. More. INTENSITY, a quick exchange of words. Competitive, almost playful, but with an edge. The kind of edge you only see when players are serious about winning. No one saw this coming. Because what started as a simple reunion quickly turned into something else. Something bigger. The drills began normally. Passing sequences, shooting routines, defensive positioning, coaches watching closely. Nothing out of the ordinary, at least at first. But then, the pace changed. Caitlin started pushing the tempo. Faster passes, longer range shots, quick decision-making. And suddenly, everyone had to adjust. This changed everything, because now, it wasn't just about practice, it was about keeping up. Lexie Hull responded first, moving quicker, reading plays faster, reacting without hesitation. It was clear she had already started adapting to Caitlin's style. Sophie Cunningham. She didn't just adapt, she challenged. Every play became a competition. Every drill turned into a battle. She wasn't backing down, not even for a second. And that's when the tension started building. But what happened next shocked everyone. During a simple scrimmage drill, things escalated. A hard defensive play, a contested shot, a physical bump. Nothing illegal, nothing out of control, but enough to change the tone. Voices got louder, players started talking more. Not arguing, but competing at a level that didn't feel like practice. Anymore, this wasn't normal, and everyone felt it. At WNBA insiders watching from the side started taking notes. This wasn't just preparation, this was intensity on another level. Caitlin didn't slow down. If anything, she pushed harder, driving into defenders, taking deeper shots, forcing faster decisions. And every time she did, response came instantly. Lexie matching movement. Sophie increasing pressure, teammates stepping up. No one saw this coming because instead of easing into camp, they went straight into battle mode. This changed everything because now the question wasn't whether this team had talent, it was whether they could handle this level of intensity together. Back on the court, the scrimmage continued, but the energy kept rising. A missed shot led to a quick reaction. A turnover triggered immediate pressure. A defensive stop turned into a fast break. Everything felt faster, sharper, more emotional, and right in the center of it all, Caitlin Clark, controlling the pace, setting the tone, forcing the standard. But what made it even more intense was how her teammates responded. They didn't step back, they stepped up. And that's when you knew. This wasn't just a reunion. This was a transformation. The energy inside the Indiana Fever facility didn't settle down after that first burst of intensity escalated. What started as competitive practice was now something else entirely, something heavier. And what happened next shocked everyone, because instead of dialing it back, Caitlin Clark pushed even harder. The next scrimmage began, and from the very first possession, it was clear this wasn't routine anymore. The pace was faster than anything the coaching staff had planned. Caitlin was moving the ball before defenses could even react. No hesitation, no second guessing, and that forced everyone else into a decision: keep up or fall behind. No one saw this coming, because practice is supposed to build rhythm. But this was testing limits. Lexie Hull was the first to respond again. Her movement became sharper, her positioning more aggressive. She wasn't waiting for plays to develop anymore. She was anticipating them. You could see the chemistry starting to click in flashes, but it wasn't perfect. And those imperfections, they created tension. A pass just slightly off a cut, just a second too late. A defensive switch that didn't happen in time. Each moment small, but together. They added pressure. This changed everything, because now every mistake felt bigger than it actually was. And in an environment already this intense, that matters. Then came Sophie Cunningham. If the pace was rising, she made it physical. Not reckless, not out of control, but strong. Every screen had weight. Every defensive stance had purpose. Every closeout carried intensity. And suddenly, the scrimmage didn't just feel fast, it felt aggressive. But what happened next shocked everyone. A single possession turned into something much bigger. Caitlin drove into the lane quick, decisive. Sophie stepped in defensively. Contact. Hard contact. The whistle didn't blow for a split second. Everything froze. Then reaction. Not shouting, not arguing, but something deeper. Eye contact. Intensity. Cha-chow. No one saw this coming, because this wasn't about one play. This was about identity. About who this team was going to be. Caitlin didn't back down. She reset. Immediately docked for the ball again. Same possession, same pressure. This time she kicked it out. Lexie Hull. Shot swish, and just like that, the moment shifted. This changed everything, because instead of conflict, there was response. Instead of tension breaking the team, it started building it. The scrimmage continued. But now there was a different energy. More communication. More urgency. More accountability. Players started talking through plays in real time. Calling switches. Directing movement. Correcting mistakes. Instantly, no one saw this coming, because what looked like chaos was turning into structure. But the intensity didn't drop. If anything, it kept climbing. The coaching staff noticed it. 2, they didn't stop it. They didn't slow it down. They let it play out, because sometimes the only way to build something real is to let it get uncomfortable first. Midway through the session, fatigue started setting in. You could see it heavy. Breathing. Slower steps. Small lapses in focus. And that's when things usually calm down. But not here. Not today, Caitlin. Pushed again. Another deep shot. Another fast break. Another quick decision. And once again, everyone had to respond. This changed everything, because now this wasn't just about skill. It was about endurance. Mental and physical. Lexie Hull stayed locked in. Matching pace. Matching intensity. Sophie Cunningham didn't slow either. If anything, she leaned into the physicality even more. And the rest of the team, they followed. No one saw this coming, because what started as a reunion had now become something much bigger. A test. Of chemistry. Of resilience. Of identity. But what made it even more intense was what happened next toward the end of the scrimmage. One final sequence changed everything. The score was close. Yes, practice had turned into a game, and everyone knew it. Final. Possession. Ball in Caitlin's hands. Defense collapsing. Pressure. Everywhere. This was the moment, the kind that defines players. The kind that defines teams. No one moved for a second, waiting, watching, and then Caitlin made her move. But not the one everyone expected. She didn't take the shot. She passed, quick, sharp, tarp, perfect, to Lexie. Hull.corner.open.shot released.swish.silence for half a second, then --explosion.teammates. Reacted. Bench energy surged, voices rose. This changed everything, because in that moment, something became clear. This team wasn't just intense, it was evolving, and what happened next would take this entire story to another level by the time practice ended. The intensity inside the Indiana Fever facility hadn't just been felt. It had been noticed, and not just internally. Because what happened next shocked everyone. Clips started leaking. Short moments. Nothing official, but enough. A fast break here, a hard defensive play there. A visible reaction between Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull, and Sophie Cunningham. And within minutes, 'twas everywhere. At WNBA fans picked it up. First, then at ESPN analysts followed. Social media exploded. This isn't normal practice. They're playing like it's the finals. What is going on in Fever Camp? No one saw this coming because training camp is usually controlled, structured, quiet. But this looked intense, real, raw, and suddenly the entire narrative around the team began to shift. Before this, the conversation was about potential, about what this roster could become now. It was about what they already were becoming. This changed everything, because for the first time, people weren't just talking about talent. They were talking about chemistry, and not the easy kind. The tested kind, the kind that forms under pressure. Back inside the facility, players were starting to feel it too. Not the outside noise, but the internal shift. Something had clicked. Not perfectly, but noticeably. Caitlin Clark wasn't just leading through skill anymore. She was leading through tempo, through expectation, through demand, and her teammates. They weren't resisting it. They were responding. But what happened next shocked everyone, because not all reactions were positive. Some analysts started questioning the intensity. Is this too much for training camp? Could this lead to burnout? Is the pressure already too high? Those questions spread quickly. No one saw this coming, because what looked like strength to some looked like risk to others, and that's where the tension returned, not on the court, but around it. This changed everything, because now the team wasn't just building chemistry. They were being watched for how they built it. Every clip, every reaction, every moment, analyzed, debated, discussed, and in the middle of it all, the players kept working. Another practice, same intensity, same energy, but now with awareness. Because once something goes viral, you can't ignore it. But what made this moment even more powerful? It's how the players handled it. No distractions, no public reactions, no social media responses. No one saw this coming, because in an era where everything gets addressed instantly, they stayed focused, locked in, committed, and that silence. It added to the mystery. This changed everything, because now the narrative wasn't just about intensity. It was about discipline, about professionalism, about control under pressure. And then came the moment that defined everything. During a closed-out scrimmage, something happened that didn't leak immediately. No cameras, no clips, just players, just competition. And what happened next shocked everyone. The intensity reached another level. Not chaotic, not aggressive in a negative way, but precise, focused, connected. The same players who struggled with timing earlier now moved in sync. Caitlin's passes found targets instantly, Lexie. Hull's positioning was exact. Sophie Cunningham's defensive pressure created opportunities. No one saw this coming because the chaos from before turned into rhythm. This changed everything because now wasn't about potential anymore. It was real. Something was forming, something dangerous, something powerful. And the coaching staff saw it. They didn't stop it. They didn't interfere. They let it grow. Because this kind of chemistry, you don't force it, you build it. Through intensity, through conflict, through moments like these. And now, it was starting to show outside. The conversation kept growing. Inside, the connection kept strengthening. And what happened next? That would decide everything by the time the next closed session began. Something inside the Indiana Fever had shifted completely. It wasn't just the intensity anymore. It wasn't just the pace. It was the understanding. And what happened next shocked everyone. Because for the first time since Caitlin Clark returned, the team didn't feel like individuals trying to keep up. It felt like a unit, a real one. The kind you don't build overnight. The kind that forms through pressure, through friction, through moments that test everything. And now, those moments were paying off. The practice started differently, quieter, more focused, less chaotic. But underneath that calm, the same intensity was still there, just controlled. No one saw this coming because usually, after days of high tension, things either break or fall apart. But here, they evolved. Caitlin stepped onto the court and immediately took control, not by forcing plays, not by pushing pace blindly, but by reading everything happening around her. This changed everything because now her leadership wasn't just about speed, it was about balance. Knowing when to push, knowing when to slow down, knowing when to trust. And that trust, it showed instantly. First sequence, ball movement, quick passes, sharp cuts, perfect timing, the kind of play that looks simple, but only happens when everything clicks. Lexie Hull moved without hesitation. No second guessing, no delay. Just reaction, shot, swish, clean, effortless, and then came Sophie Cunningham. Defensive pressure, physical presence, energy. That didn't disrupt the flow but strengthened it. No one saw this coming because earlier, that same intensity felt like conflict now. It felt like identity. This changed everything because now the team wasn't trying to adjust to each other. They were playing with each other. And that's a completely different level. Midway through practice, something even more powerful happened. The coaches stepped back, literally. No instructions, no interruptions, just observation. Because at this point, they didn't need to guide. They needed to see. And what they saw was real. Players communicating naturally, calling plays without hesitation, correcting mistakes instantly, supporting each other without frustration. No one saw this coming because this wasn't the same team from earlier sessions. This was growth, visible, undeniable, and right in the center of it all. Caitlin Clark, not forcing, not dominating every possession, but controlling the game in a different way. Through awareness, through trust, through connection. This changed everything because now the pressure that once created tension was creating strength. But what happened next shocked everyone because the most important moment didn't happen on the court. It happened in the locker room after practice ended. Players gathered not for a speech, not for a meeting, just naturally talking, reflecting. And that's when the truth came out. Short comments, simple words, but powerful. This feels different. We're starting to get it. It's clicking. No one saw this coming because those words don't come from talent. They come from experience, from going through something together, from pushing through discomfort. This changed everything because now the narrative was complete. From tension to adjustment, to conflict, to chemistry, and the biggest realization. This wasn't just about one player. It wasn't just about Caitlin Clark. It was about what happens when a team decides to rise to a new standard. Because Caitlin didn't just bring skill, she brought expectation. And instead of breaking under it, this team responded. No one saw this coming. Because what looked intense, what looked chaotic, what looked risky, turned into something powerful, something real, something dangerous. And as the final lights in the facility dimmed, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a training camp story. This was the beginning of something much bigger. Because if this is how they practice, imagine how they'll play. And trust me, the rest of the WNBA isn't ready for what's coming next. If you made it this far, then you already felt the intensity of what's happening inside the Indiana Fever. This isn't just practice. This is the start of something serious. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull, and Sophie Cunningham are about to dominate the WNBA? Or is this intensity going to create even more drama? Drop your honest opinion in the comments right now. And if you want more powerful, emotional WNBA stories like this, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next viral moment. Because trust me, this season hasn't even started yet, and things are already getting wild.